Live Active community, is Dr. Hasib Ahmed here with Live Active Primary Care. This is video number 6 of 7. This is the 7 series. So this is the 7 ways to improve health outcomes. We're talking about diversity today. This is so important. It's a very important topic. I feel like we don't take a lot of, we don't give it a lot of consideration and appreciation for the value of diversity. And it is, I believe, the single most important component that is causing the rising healthcare costs, poor health compliance, and therefore it has to be addressed. We have to appreciate it, but we also have to have the right healthcare system in place to address diversity head on and not just talk about it as little marketing things. We have to get serious about it and address it. So we're going to talk about the process of using story to address diversity, how I recommend we should do that as healthcare providers, and also talk about why diversity is important in improving health outcomes. So let's get started. It's a big topic, but I'm going to do my best. So let's get started. All right, guys, I'm going to use this graphic to kind of hopefully help. Again, this is just covering the surface of diversity. It's such a big topic, so important, so complex, but I'm going to do my best here. And again, each of these components can be a lecture in itself. Happy to talk about it, give a talk to folks about it. I'm very passionate about it. I think it's so important in healthcare. So again, we all have a life story. Each community that we serve as healthcare providers is diverse. We have to understand that. That's the reality. And so even our medical students, our residents, physicians, young attendings, older attendings, whoever, we have to discuss the importance of addressing a diversity when it comes to treating patients. And so how do we start that process? So this graphic kind of talks about the complexity of diversity. So diversity is composed of several different elements, and each of these elements is influenced through experiences, personal biases, and values. That's a whole core group of people that influence this aspect of diversity for that individual. So the 5 components I'm going to talk about here that make up diversity is race, religion, culture, gender, and sexuality. And so we have to understand that when we address diversity, we start to recognize gaps in health literacy, and then we start to understand the challenges of the community, and then we can address those gaps in health literacy and challenges head on and make our treatment plan make sense. So when we're talking about making a personalized healthcare plan, which is in the previous videos, it doesn't make sense, or it won't be efficient or effective if we don't address diversity. So once we start listening to a person's story, the process begins by listening, by shutting up and listening, as I like to call it. So again, doesn't happen in the first visit, doesn't happen in the second visit. It takes multiple visits, and it takes a lot of time to learn someone's life story. So it comes from race. Within each race, we all know it's influenced by experiences that we may have had. Again, being an Indian American, being a Muslim American, I have my own personal experiences when it comes to race, religion, culture, etc. And so when we talk about race, we have to also understand the history, right? And so there's a lack of trust of the healthcare system because of the history. We have to recognize that and appreciate that. And so we have to understand that factor when it comes to diversity. Number 2 is religion. Within each religion, there are subsects and subcultures, different belief systems, different experiences people have with religion. It may evolve over time, right? And so one of the cool things about primary care is that I meet somebody in that first visit or that first couple of years, but then watch them maybe change their viewpoints when it comes to religion, or get even stronger towards a certain faith. And so those are fascinating things to watch as it evolves. But that's important for me as a healthcare physician, because as a primary care physician, is because I have to recognize that and see what I need to do to make sure I keep the patient motivated, or make that healthcare treatment or the health treatment make sense to them. Do certain medications have pork products in it? Do certain things like that? That's an example of how religion can influence your treatment plan. Culture is a big component. I mean, culture is a huge topic that has subcultures. But, when it comes to values, our languages, all those things create our culture. One example for me personally as an Indian culture is a respect for elders. Nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities are shunned upon, and so again, we're going to take care of our parents at home because that's what we do this is what we do in our culture. And so it makes no sense for me to talk to an 80-year-old patient and with a son or a daughter at the next to him and talk about nursing homes, because if in their story and their the way they live their life and the way they follow their culture, if that is the case, that no, we don't take our elderly folks to the nursing home, then we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about other ways, home health. We're going to figure out rehab. We're going to figure out ways to get the person stronger, etc. But then maybe mention that, hey, you know what? It's going to burn the treatment team. I call it the treatment team, my support team, my teammates right at home. It's going to burn you out. Well, we should start thinking about nursing homes or etc. But again, it's not that's not the first thing to talk about when it comes to that. So understanding culture and values, and then food, right? When we talk about nutrition, again, Indian culture, if someone serves you food, especially if it's your grandma or someone, they're going to take offense if you don't finish your plate, those kinds of things. And so there's a lot of peer pressure, a lot of barriers, right? A lot of challenges people have. So it's easy for us to say, oh, eat a low salt diet, eat fat-free, low carbs, etc. But that person, their reality is when they go to parties or gatherings or family gatherings, they're going to have to manage that peer pressure. So culture is huge. I can talk on and on about that. Gender, again, this is another big topic. So when it comes to gender and sexuality, physicians have a responsibility to create a comfortable environment for people to talk about. These conversations usually take me maybe 6 months, 8 months to get somebody comfortable to talk about it, because their first, when folks talk about gender or sexuality, their biggest concern is going to be, how is this physician going to take my opinions or my belief system, right? When it comes to gender and sexuality. So it's a huge barrier. We have to make it comfortable. We have to make it inviting, that it's a safe zone, that, hey, you can talk about it. And then when you talk about the science behind sexuality and gender and different beliefs and different goals people may have, in the different peer pressures and the different experiences they may have as a male or female, we all know it happens in the workplace or in social situations. And so in certain interactions, we have to understand all that and listen to their story, because that's going to affect how they carry out or be compliant with their treatment plan. So each of these individuals, again, are huge topics that I can talk about for a long time, but we have to understand each of these components when it comes to talking about diversity. All right, guys, so that is our video on diversity. I apologize, it's a long video. I know our attention span is short, but it's such an important topic that we have to grasp it, we have to appreciate it, and that's what makes healthcare providers successful. If you're going to implement a treatment plan, you have to address it in the right setting, which is understanding diversity and understanding what's the best way to communicate, the appropriateness of communicating it, what manner you communicate it in, based on their cultural values and all the aspects that we talked about. So get out there, live active, be active in your finances, be active in your relationships, and then definitely please be active in your health. Take an active role in life. And God bless. Take care. Thanks for listening.